Hi everybody, it's McGann. I have been asked by a few different people what I thought of the Academy of Art University and their online program, so I thought I would share my really honest opinion about it right now. Overall, it is a nice school. It is a fairly expensive school though, and I am not really sure if the quality of the teachers is worth the cost of the education. I had one professor that taught the history of animation, and he was actually, out of my 3 professors this last semester, he had the biggest resume. I mean, he had worked with more projects and done more things than any of the other professors. He was teaching the history of animation. He also taught at a bunch of other different schools with computer animation, but he was very thoughtful. He would respond to students. He was a great teacher overall, and I really enjoyed his class. Now, that was history of animation. That was all just writing and watching clips and lectures and that sort of thing. Now, my mechanics of animation was taught by someone else who was a self-taught person that got into the animation industry. He worked in some films. Now he's a professor with AAU. And he wasn't a bad professor. The first couple of weeks were really good. What I was really disappointed with, though, was that he did not offer any kind of video lectures. They were all just, modules where you'd read a page, turn the page, read a page, turn the page electronically. And so I felt like I was missing a lot because for me, I'm very visual. That's part of why I'm in animation to begin with. So to have to read how to become an animator, it just didn't make a lot of sense to me. And there were things that I missed or I didn't understand. And even sometimes the directions for what we needed to do for the assignment, I would misread them because I don't know, I don't pay attention very well when I'm reading or something, but I would end up screwing something up that was some vital piece of information. And he was very good about calling people out on it, I guess. It seemed like I was the shining example that was always like, oh, McGann, you did this wrong, you did that wrong, you did that wrong. It got very, very frustrating for me though, because I felt like I really wasn't getting any help. And yeah, he had office hours and stuff like that, and he would post up reviews for things that he wanted changed, or actually critiques, I guess. And those were helpful, but he would often post them so far along in the week that it was hard to be able to implement it in time to do the homework. And then my professor that was teaching the Maya class, he's a really good guy. He's a sweet guy. He had lots of video lectures, which I appreciated. There were some chapters that didn't have any, and that was very difficult for me again, but what I found very infuriating about him was that we'd have something where we'd work on the same project for 2 or 3 weeks in a row, and I'd turn it in week 1, he'd be like, okay, looks good. Turn it in week 2, oh yeah, looks good. Turn it in week 3, and he'd be like, why do you have it like this? Why do you have that? Why this is wrong, that's messed up. And it's like, it's been like that for the last 2 weeks, and you've told me it's been looking good. So what's going on there? I don't understand. And then I kept having glitches and errors with my software where things wouldn't do what they were supposed to do, or they wouldn't export right or something like that. And he just kind of acted like I was a liar or I was stupid, and that really, that bothered me a lot because I'm stuck here. I already had to pay for the Maya program out of my own pocket because I don't live close to the university, and so I can't use their programs on their computers. I get no help if I don't understand something because I can't just raise my hand in class and say, oh, professor, can you come here and show me what I'm doing wrong? Because there's really no good way to do that online. Another issue that I felt was a problem for me was that I am in a master's degree program, so it is more work, I think, than regular, but the way that they had it set up was a lot different than the other online classes I've taken, and I have taken a lot at every university I've been at. I've taken online classes. So that would be 4 or 5 different universities I've had online classes at now. But every single Monday, assignments were due for every class. And so it was one week after another where I just felt completely overloaded with my workload. And when I've done other online classes, and I even finished my last year of college online, I could budget things out to where, okay, this is due in 3 weeks, this is due next week, this is due tomorrow, and I could budget things out and kind of place it on there so that I wasn't just constantly doing homework. And that's what I really felt like here. And I don't know if that's because it was a graduate program or just because that's how they do it there. I'm not sure, but it was very, very stressful for me in that sense. And especially with getting so little feedback and having everything due in a week from now, it was hard to keep up. The last thing that really kind of irked me about AAU's online setup is that I was under the impression for the master's degree, since it's a 3-year program, everybody entering it would not have like an animation undergraduate degree, but a lot of them did, and a lot of the professors assumed that, well, you should already know how to use Maya and you should already know the animation mechanics and stuff like that. And I've never had a class in it before. How would I possibly know this? You do end up kind of competing with people who have been doing this for 4 years, and so it's a breeze for them. They can get an A easy, and you can be struggling and trying really hard, and the teacher's not sympathetic with you because, you know, so and so with a 4-year degree in animation can do it. So I guess that was my mistake in making that assumption. But for $850 a credit hour, I'm not planning on returning for the winter/spring term. I don't know if I'm going to go back at all, honestly, because I felt like the quality of education versus the price of it did not mesh together very well. It seems like most of the stuff I learned I could teach myself online, and really the most disheartening thing that happened to me was I watched an online seminar from the Nickelodeon people, and they flat out said, oh, we don't animate in the United States. Almost nobody does. So if you want a degree in animation, you're probably never going to get a job in the US. Your best bet is for pre-production or maybe even post-production, but production does not happen here anymore in most companies. I think it was like Disney, Pixar, and DreamWorks were the only ones that actually do production here now. All the TV shows sent to Korea, Singapore, wherever. I kind of feel like I'm wasting my time and my money now, and I'm just gonna play it by ear and see what happens, take a term off, see how I feel. Hope it's been a helpful review for those of you watching. I did learn a lot, but I also struggled a lot. And there's really, with the setup, not a lot of time to catch up or figure things out. So again, hope that's been helpful. If you have any questions about stuff, let me know. I'll be happy to answer it. And thank you for watching. Bye.